Good afternoon. I think it's afternoon here. It's not afternoon where you are, but everyone, this is Jean-Claude Monney, and he is here today to talk to us about a variety of things with his broad expertise in many different areas of knowledge management. And he's going to start today just by telling us a little bit about his background and how he got into KM. And we just want a nice biographical background. And you can talk about, Jean-Claude, you can talk about anything that you want. Just tell us from the beginning, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Kendra. Thanks for having me today. I was just thinking about how to start with my story. I thought I'd start with the beginning. So as you can hear from my accent, even though I live in California and I'm American, I'm actually Swiss from the French-speaking part of Switzerland. And I was lucky to grow up in Geneva, Switzerland, and do my studies there. So I graduated in 1972. That gives a hint of my age, right? 1972 in both electronics and nuclear physics engineering. Right after I graduated, I joined the European Nuclear Center, CERN, the Center for Nuclear Research in Europe, which is located near Geneva, and I only worked there 3 months, believe it or not. And because I found a job at the European headquarters of Motorola, Switzerland. So for those of you who don't know Motorola, at the time, Motorola was a top 10 semiconductor manufacturer in the world. Very, very leading company in the United States. And they were making microprocessor, and their biggest competitor was Intel at the time. And what was interesting about microprocessor is that you could really democratize computing because you could write a program and on your own microprocessor. And at the time when I did my study, I was using the first Windows system, which is you knock on a window and you give your cards that you have punched, and you wait a day for the listing of your Fortran program or whatever language you were learning at the time. So this thing at Motorola really, I just loved the technology. I loved the microprocessor. I loved to be able to program, and I started to program, and it was really a great thing. Fast forward, the company, basically senior management moved to another company, SGS, which was an Italian-based company. And I was invited to come and lead a business unit in Phoenix, Arizona, just like that. So I was 29 years old, and I packed my bag and one-way ticket, and I went to a new country, new language, new everything. And it was quite interesting to learn and to build a complete operation from ground up. And we built 2 computer systems there, and that was quite interesting and successful in the team making that. So I was recruited to go and work for the number 2 computer company at the time, which was Digital Equipment Corporation. And I moved back to Geneva in the European headquarters. And so there I did product marketing for what became the most successful product for DEC, for Digital Equipment Corporation, which was the Microvax family, which was a 1 MIPS. For those of you who like technology, 1 million instruction per second, 1 MIPS computer. Now, it's interesting that I don't know how many MIPS we have in a phone today, but we probably have 1,000 MIPS, if not more. It's so powerful. But it's only then I decided after 9 years to go back to more of a entrepreneurship kind of thing, and I was offered to lead a new ventures group, a European worldwide director position. And it was interesting because it was a mix of technology and business. And my goal, the goal of my team and our group was to find a new product that the company could produce and sell And that's the era when my team identifies something that is not very common, which is all the cameras that, because we thought that phones were going to be important and they will really transform the way we do things. So camera in phones, that became a huge business, display, etc. And at the time, I basically had been quite successful, and the CEO asked me to switch to IT because I launched a community inside the company. Just to give you an example, the company was in the $8 billion range and about 50,000 people, right? And 18 factories in the world. So just to give you a bit of the size of the company, which still exists today. And we created the Internet Steering Committee. And because we thought the internet was going to be something interesting. So, we are in 1986, right? So again, in 1986, a website was not something company had at the time. The website started by really the 97, 8, 2000 when the internet bubble came. So one day, Pasquale Pistorio, then the CEO of the company, came back and took all the group vice president together and says, "What do you know about knowledge management?" And we all look at each other, and of course, none of us have been educated in knowledge management. We vaguely heard the word, and so on. They said, "Well, we need to, use our knowledge to shape our future." So we did what any sensible person would do is, okay, let's learn, let's be humble and learn. So for 6 months we did a lot of learning and research and talking to the academia, talking to other businesses and so on, and we wrote a booklet, which I still have today, about what is knowledge management, why we use knowledge management, what are the things we can do. And we started to implement things. So that's really when, for me, the thing started there. At the same time, something happened which I would strongly recommend to anyone to watch. In 1987, there was a company called Apple, which their CEO then was John Sculley. And John Sculley had to give a speech to a university. And he asked his staff if he could have something like forward looking. And believe it or not, the title of the video is The Knowledge Navigator. So I encourage you to go on YouTube, search for Knowledge Navigator 1987. And as of today, that forward looking vision is not yet realized. So to tell you how much there's now, interestingly enough, what is important then is to know that the people who did that were the user experience people at Apple. There was a group of people, 3 of them that I had the chance to meet throughout my career. By design, I wanted to meet these people. They were a bit interested. "Why do you want to meet with me?" And says, "Because your video changed my life." In a sense, it opened my mind in a way that no other things did there. So 1987, the Knowledge Navigator video. Okay, I will fast forward here because this was my first entry in knowledge management. And yes, I was in a IT position at the time. Then I moved to United States and I was a VP of Strategic Alliance and did a joint venture with Intel to create a flash memory company called Mnemonics, which then was purchased by Micron, which you probably all know today, which is like a multi-billion-dollar company headquartered in Idaho, in Boise, Idaho. And it's been a great activity to do a transformation and understand how do you take 7,000 people from each company, 2 factories from each company. You put that together and you have to make it work. And the change management was quite an interesting topic there. So I think we're going to talk about change management. And so that was also the opportunity for me to deploy my second digital workplace a project. So the first one was when I was at ST Microelectronics. The second one is when I was at Mnemonics. And that's when I met really Microsoft because we use Microsoft SharePoint to do that. And so through this project was very successful because we did that in 90 days or less, in 80 days, I think. So I had to give a lot of speeches, and Microsoft recognized me and basically asked me to join them. So I joined them in 2012 as their chief technology strategist for the US manufacturing industry. So basically trying to explain to leaders, what's happening in the technology and how this will be transformative to their companies. And I did 2 years there, and the CTO of Microsoft Services asked me to join his team and lead the knowledge management group there. And this was a fantastic time. My sponsor was the head of the division, who is now the chief people officer at Microsoft there. And she said after I joined the team, and she invited me to a meeting, and her name is Kathleen Hogan, and she said, Jean-Claude, you have one goal, 100% of Microsoft knowledge to 100% of the time to 100% of the customer. It was very interesting goal to try to achieve, and she is a great example of something you need to the change is to have a sponsor, because every 3 months I had to report to her on basically how the progress of my program inside the company. And again, at the time, we were just in the era of transformation to mobile and the cloud. So the knowledge management platform at Microsoft was not on the cloud when I arrived, and my team and we actually launched in August 2014 the first cloud-based platform on SharePoint and actually on what is now called M365. So that became a very interesting thing, because Microsoft was very open to say, hey, this is how we do knowledge management, and we use our own technology, which is always important for a vendor to use their own tool. If you ever have to buy a product from a vendor, ask them if they are using their own tool. And this allowed me to meet more than 200 company executives across the world, because I was just there to be a testimonial of what we were doing, etc. So knowledge management became really important for me as my 100% job there. And after that, I retired in 2017. And I went to create a course and teach at Columbia as part of the information and knowledge management for a master's there. And my focus was the digital workplace there. So that was a very interesting experience for me, not being, associated with American university. Coming from Europe is very different there, and and so on. And then, like all of us, in 2019, I got hit by COVID, which was, what do you do? And I was doing some consulting there. It started to be a bit more difficult to do things. We had to reimagine themselves, but the opportunity was to learn about how to basically, for me, manage knowledge in a hybrid world or in a remote working world, when you don't have the water cooler to exchange, to share the tacit knowledge, which is so important and still today, even growing today. So I focus on understanding that new mode of work, and basically I was really trying to learn as much as possible about the cognitive aspect of knowledge sharing, and how people are doing to basically share knowledge now that they can't physically have this interaction that they used to have. So I kept on studying that space there, and I was part of different boards, either as an advisor into startup, or I went into as a chief product officer for a company that was doing a universal search, KIB. And so now what I'm doing is really advising companies on the digital workplace and knowledge management matters, basically harnessing these 40 years of experiences. I would not call it expertise because things are changing all the time, but it's about the experiences with an S at the end. That is what matters for my client today. So, and I'm part of the community of knowledge management. Stan Garfield, my friend, has created and lead a wonderful SIKM community, which is more than, I think, 1,500 members across the world, active on a daily basis there. Um, as you know, I'm associated with Kent State as an advisor also for the master, I think, alongside with other colleagues of the industry. So yeah, it's a lifelong learning, and I will never stop learning and never stop sharing and giving. So that's my story.
It's excellent. And I will add one more thing to your biography, and that is you're not only an advisor to the master's program, but now that we have a dual degree with the MBA program, you're also helping to advise. Your work inadvertently has advised that dual degree. So you have a little more influence than you may have realized. And it's also potentially going to play itself out in the doctoral arena as well. So that's something you can be proud of, and we are so grateful and lucky to have your experiences, plural, that have contributed to the overall vision that you have. So that's really interesting.